I once wrote a little piece that said I'd given up on hope. Oh my stars, I got hundreds of emails from people that said, you can't stop hoping. Don't give up hope. A politician once said, we've got to give people hope. Even if it's bullshit, we got to give it to them, you know? That's what we're in the business of. We can't give them results because every medication for 20 years has failed. So we'll give them hope. Every medication that fails, we'll say, was a success. Because we know we don't have to do this now. We know we don't have to do that. Hope is based on a premise that today is not as good as it should be. So I hope tomorrow gets better, you know. I hope she's a little shorter or taller, or I hope he brushes his teeth, or I don't know. I hope. And unfortunately, when you hope that much, it takes up today. What'd you do today? Well, I hoped that tomorrow was going to be better. Well, what are you going to do tomorrow? I'll be doing some more hoping, I suspect. But it's all I have to hang on to, because, you know, my husband or my wife is dying. Well, I could say the same of my wife. She's dying too. And she doesn't know what the date will be any more than I know what the date will be. So I've decided to live in today and not worry about hope. I want to find as much joy as I can in every day. Now, this isn't advice just for people who have Alzheimer's. This is advice for everybody on earth. If we would say, these are the cards I got dealt, whether you believe God deals them, or the devil deals them, or you just pick them up off the floor and you play your own hand. This is the cards you have today. And so rather than say, well, I hope I do better tomorrow, why lose today in hoping that tomorrow's going to get better? Especially when we know we have a chronic disability. I like to characterize Alzheimer's as, or dementia, as a disability rather than a disease. It's a disability. I have a cognitive disability. I like to characterize it as a disability because people with disabilities are not seen as getting stupider or dumber or more pathetic or less human is what it is. It's less human in the sense that as the number of symptoms that are showing gets bigger and bigger, the assumption is your needs get less and less. We don't talk to you as much as we used to talk to you. My kids don't ask me questions other than yes or no now. They don't come for advice. We don't have extended conversations like we used to have. It's because it's sad for them to talk about it, because I'll get off the subject, or I'll change the subject, or I'll just drift away from the subject, I guess. So their strategy not to have to be confronted by the fact that their father has Alzheimer's is simply not to talk to me. And I think that's true of friends, it's true of acquaintances, and it's true of families. I called my friends after I was diagnosed and I noticed they didn't come around. And to a friend they said, well, I don't want to embarrass you. What if I ask you a question and you didn't know the answer? So it's better just not to ask you the question. It's worse, much worse. I'm sure you all experienced that. You walk into a party and there's kind of a sign, he's here. I once went to a neurologist, and after our visit, my wife said, well, when do you want Richard to come back again? And the neurologist said to me, Well, when he pulls down his pants and pees in the middle of the front room, bring him in. That was the view of neurology about 8 years ago. I've got the Thorazine ready, just in case. This is the world that we live in. We didn't make it. We don't like it. So what do we do about it? Well, lots of us develop us versus them mentality. And unfortunately, groups like this, where it feels so good to be among kindred spirits, are self-isolating sometimes too. But we do it because we're just not accepted by other people. I know when I walk into a room full of people who have dementia, it just feels like I'm home. I feel I'm with kindred spirits. And we don't even have to mention dementia for the whole meeting, but I feel good because I was here, because I know there are other people like me out there who are dealing with the same issues. So I really applaud you for doing this, but understand that it also has a downside and that it's self-isolating too. Now I believe that most caregiver stress, and you know there's a book called The 36-Hour Day, I don't know how many, I think that was the worst thing that was ever picked for a title for a book. To tell people, human beings, that they have 36 hours worth of responsibility and only 24 hours. It's no wonder you're in such stress, because it's impossible to squeeze 36 hours worth of work into 24 hours. As fast as you can work, it doesn't make any difference. It's a 24-hour day, just like everybody else's 24-hour day. But it's part of this exaggeration we have that we're sufferers, they call us sufferers, and that you're suffering too. Well, I understand what they're saying, but it's the wrong word. It's too powerful a word. People who, you know, have brain cancer, they suffer actual physical pain. People who lose a limb, sometimes they have imaginary pain, but it is real in terms of their brain believes it. I don't know anybody who's suffering from Alzheimer's. Who suffers from Alzheimer's? Yes, 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 and that's very unfortunate that they see it that way. Now, how or why do you think they use the word suffering for themselves? What is it they're suffering? I think they're suffering from the belief that my loved one is going to die. It's going to pass. Well, they didn't suffer before the guy told them he had Alzheimer's. In fact, there were days that I wished he would have, but now I'm suffering. This is like pre-suffering. It's like I'm mourning the death of my loved one, and he's not dead yet.